I'm Sam Rose, and you're tuning in to Commerce is Chaos, the podcast for consumer brand founders who know that building a business is messier than the highlight reel shows. Your supplier just missed their deadline, your top product is out of stock, and your competitor somehow launched the same thing at half the price. Sound familiar? Every week, we dive into the real problems that keep founders up at night, from inventory disasters to supply chain nightmares, because surviving the chaos is what separates brands that fail from brands that scale.
Okay, this is a perfect segue into lazy food.
Exactly.
How did you make the switch from cricket to tennis to padel to lazy food pasta?
Well, it's lazy food was like never like the target. It's just like, sometimes you are just given an opportunity. And when you're like, and as an immigrant, immigrants are always looking for something and they're not like, it's not a linear path for them. And like for us, when we moved was like we moved when I was in high school. And it was an abrupt move actually. So we didn't even know we were going to be in the States. And like we came here on vacation and it became like actually a stay for us. So now we have to be like the type of people that have to be always on top of things, trying to figure things out. Where's the opportunity and what going there? Made me an entrepreneur a little bit. And anyways, in the beginning, I always wanted to be in international something. So I wanted to study economics and like that. Got into the IMF, amazing first job.
Amazing, yeah. I was gonna say like international man of mystery or like
It's like it became such a luck at the same time, but at the same time it was such a great experience. But when
yeah.
I was over there, like got to go experience like traveling, got to experience with some of the smartest people in the world. It didn't fit me as well. That was the main thing. I realized I was making a big decision. It's like, do I go to the PhD route or do I do something else with my life? And when you're like, then going back to the immigrants, it's like, if it's too straightforward, I was getting uncomfortable. It's like, if I knew it's too predictable, economists always trying to predict things.
Right.
So mine was like, okay, I'm gonna try to figure myself out and then like go like, I've developed great understanding of how economics work. Fast story short, we go to like the MBA route to say, okay, that's something I'm gonna do. Trying to like switch careers, go from like international economics to like startup world. And startup world takes me to like the next level of my life where like exposure to new skill sets, different type of people. And it was during COVID time where I had to move back from Europe to the States and was presented with an opportunity of people who were in the food industry. That's how I got exposed to the food industry and got an experience. I started realizing that, okay, there is actually a lot of opportunity in the food industry. One is like, people always have to eat. This is never going to go away. Second was that when I was watching the skills I learned at the IMF was the fantastic part was that you are always analyzing behaviors. You're always analyzing a country. You're always analyzing data and everything. Differently, like showing traction, but more so like you're analyzing things in a way. And when I was in the COVID era and I was connected with a lot of these food people, I was looking at the behaviors that were happening in the States. We noticed that people were like looking for, I don't know how you remember, do you remember your like where you were and everything?
Yeah.
Do you remember the feeling that you had?
Are you gonna
Everyone
say like, did
was-
I have the feeling of wanting to eat like potatoes and pasta?
No, no,
Comforted?
basically the feeling was probably like, you're trying to find ways to like entertain yourself. And what happened was people were going back to cooking. Like cooking
Yeah.
became a trend.
I was very much inside that trend. I was making cooking tools, so I was like, yeah, like
Exactly.
at
Everyone was,
first I was jealous though because everybody else has got they got like their big COVID bonuses, and it was obviously like objectively terrifying.
yes.
But a lot of the folks that I knew were either like furloughed or like on some sort of like work from home, and my business inside what was effectively sort of food and hospitality, but cookware just took off like a rocket. So I've never worked harder in my life. I've said that about a few things, but like I worked really hard. And I wish I had just been like enjoying cooking because yes, I know what you're talking about. And to all of you that got to do that, like, ha ha, joke is on me.
No, but it was beautiful though, right? It's like people were trying to figure out how to just pass the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And I was seeing it from a different perspective. Like it's like, oh my God, people are getting trained to basically get back into cooking. They're building a muscle. And I was like, okay, they're building a muscle. The second thing is that I noticed like D2C brands like Blue Apron, HelloFresh were growing up, and they're training people how to make meals faster at home. So I was more focusing on the behavior of what consumers are going to happen to. And then I also noticed that, we all know that COVID was not going to last forever. It's going to end eventually, and people will go back to normal,
Yeah.
go grocery shopping again and everything. And I was like, had a very strong gut feeling that people are trained for easy things. They want to cook. And when they're going to shop, they're going to look for things that are going to be healthy, fast, and tasty. So that's where like the idea started to forming. Okay, we're going to create something, solve an area of providing healthy convenience for people who have been trained how to cook at home. That was the ultimate goal for it.
Also love that I mean, I trust you because your job was predicting things. You're like, COVID will end. Like, I gotta say, we're not all that certain about it.
No, but there's a funny joke with economists, right? They predict what's going to happen, but then tell you why it didn't happen.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, it's like you get to be on both sides of it.
Exactly.
Juliet Wines, Allison, the founder, one of the co-founders of Juliet Wines, came on, and she had a similar experience of like, she's at home, nothing to do. Her parents are buying like boxed wine in an
Yeah.
ugly box. But they're chilling and they're like having a great time together. And she's like, this experience could be beautiful and convenient instead of like being icky and convenient, or beautiful but like inconvenient. And so similar insight. And I loved having her on and loved her story. But like, how do we take this thing that has become a comfort or a convenience to us and elevate it?
Exactly. Well, when I was looking at, like, I further went to the research, right? And the idea was, okay, when you look at healthy convenience, what's in the market? You have in the market the microwave foods. That's ultra processed. People already know that is going to be not healthy and doesn't feel like cooking. Frozen foods, it's a little rigid, but it's delicious. It's rigid, but it's like it doesn't give that feeling of that emotional feeling. It's like, okay, there's a gap in the market. And right now, what happens in the shelf-stable space is that there's not much out there other than mac and cheese or like canned soup. It's like, okay, if we can tap this market, provide the right recipes, provide the right product with flavors, and also these lifestyle opportunities that people are looking for, people trying to be healthy and all that kind of stuff. And if we can actually figure this out in the supply chain and the product side of things, I think we have something. And that's where we start testing it out early on and with like small, like very experimental. And then we saw like, okay, there is something.
Yeah.
And let's keep on further investing into it. And my luck was that the network I had in Chicago, because I was in Chicago at that time, and it was a person like my co-founder on the project. He was already like a food expert, like 20, 30 years of experience. He was actually the person who was well connected with the gluten-free pasta world. And the second thing was that he also supported with the development of the brand Tolerant. So he was involved with the gluten-free pasta. And then the second person I had connections to was a chef. So having the perfect people, one from the supply chain side of things and the other one from the getting the flavor side of things, was like the perfect trio to get these things like boosted and trying things out.
It's so interesting how the world kind of brings stuff like that. Like you
Yes.
have an idea or maybe a compulsion or like an inkling, and then
Yes.
if you're surrounded by the right people at the right moment, it just
It is.
it all hits the ground.
There's luck to it, right? There's luck
Yeah,
to it.
yeah, very
But
much so.
also at the same time, there's two things though. There's like one thing's luck plays a role. The second thing is that you actually are paying attention that there's something around you. And a lot of people, like a lot of opportunities go by and people miss it. And maybe this is the immigrant in me that I had because like you're always you're paying attention to the small details. And that helps you like really, really find an opportunity. And maybe that's why I've been like successful in certain areas, but I like every time I go in certain areas, I move on.
You see the end of the opportunity and you're like, let me take a right. Like,
Yeah, yeah, exactly, right? It's like what more can I do? Basically, it's like
right.
what more can I do?
Talk about positioning for this product a little bit because from my perspective as a consumer, and they're great products, by the way, so thank you for putting awesome stuff into the world.
Thank you.
You have struck such a nice balance between the health positioning and the flavor first positioning.
Yes.
How would were you using market insights or like your gut to like literally and figuratively to feel your way through that, or and how are you sort of avoiding the traps of just like being a typical, it's not this, it's that, it's not regular pasta, it's gluten free, but really has like a promise and an elevation that's so far beyond that.
Well, in the beginning, the idea was mainly like you are looking for a area where there is an need and interest, right? The second one was always building your own data sets. And it was all your own data sets were coming from like what do I need to prove wrong to move to the right direction? So in the beginning, what we were doing, we were testing flavors. If flavors was the first thing, the chef had a restaurant where we were testing flavors and giving opportunity to people to try and not telling them what it was. And then we were getting like early feedback without them knowing whether it's like, could they tell it was gluten free? Did they like it? It was high protein. Did they like flavor one, flavor two? Why did they like flavor one, flavor two? So these were like ways of building a market research. And I looked a little at public data that was available, but most of the time I was building my own data sets creatively. And it became my, in like qualitative or quantitative data sets. And it like allowed me to basically position the product and whether it was to decide on the flavor. Italian was important to us because one, the chef had the differentiator on that, like he could create amazing flavors that people have a memory of Italian food. And Italian food is one of the most popular foods for everyone. Everyone eats pasta. Everyone is familiar.
Right.
So the goal was also that do not over innovate. Go to an area people are familiar with and try to see, is this an interest and is this not an interest to them? And it was just always like every month I was running some random experiment just to collect the data and then putting it forward. It's like, okay, this makes sense. The issue with that is it's a slow process.
Fair. How long were you incubating until you felt like you had recipes and like something to share that was really ready for show?
Almost a year, I would say. We were like testing, we did multiple tests. We did tests at the market. We tested with other chefs. We tested with students. We partnered with a marketing professor, and it's like they would come to the chef's house, and we would like put it in like blind testing. We tested with like Plant Futures program in Berkeley. So I was like finding creative ways of like just like does this work or not? And once we figure out everything, then we went to the online shop, D2C. It's like, okay, is there anything there? Are people willing to pay X price or Y price? Are they willing to pay which flavors they're going to play at? I had a quick trick for that one. So I went to my D2C website, and the idea was I do not know which flavors I want to further invest in. And I built a bundle and model. And you could either buy 3, you could buy 6, or you could buy 9. And I put the number of flavors at 5. So that means when people were picking a bundle of 3 as a starter, they will pick their 3 favorite and what were the 2 not favorites. Then when they were picking the 6, we know which one they buy twice.
Yeah.
And when it was 9, which one they removed once.
I love this.
So that was my way of thinking, is like I can build my cohorts that way, and then I can figure out, it's like, okay, these are the ones we will have to invest more in because this is what the market is telling me.
Okay, if pasta doesn't work out, this is a really good app idea. It's like multivariate A, B, C, D, E, F, G testing or
Yeah,
something like that.
well, that was lucky because it's a combination of economics and combination of like I was in Dubai working as a product lead over there, so I was like doing all these tests and everything. So that
Yeah.
helped them.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, wait. I love this line of conversation. Give us some other like hacks that like are completely left field that no one ever would have guessed. We'll make apps.
I know, right? It's like, but that's the beauty is like there's when you go through so many different types of jobs and like different like when I was in IMF, it teaches you certain skill sets, how to not just like prove things, but understand why things are happening. That's the ultimate idea behind it. And the second, like going to the technical side, you were like actually learning how things work. But having experts around me was ultimately where I can hack it, like actually try the experiments that I wanted to try.
Cards on the table. Your tech stack is held together with duct tape and prayers. If you're a brand founder or COO juggling Shopify, your 3PL portal, 3 different inventory trackers, and yes, that one crucial Google Sheet, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Orders get lost, inventory counts are fiction, and your seamless integrations break every other Tuesday. Endless Commerce changes the game. One platform for everything. DTC, wholesale, marketplaces, the works. AI-powered forecasting, real-time inventory visibility, and integrations that actually integrate. Teams like Great Jones, Food 52, and Pattern Brands already made the switch. Ready to ditch the chaos? Visit endlesscommerce.com, mention Commerce is Chaos when you reach out, and get 3 months free. Because your ops stack should be your competitive advantage, not your biggest headache.
Yeah, that's really cool. You have shared publicly anecdotes about doing the wrong thing in a meeting with a buyer. I would love to hear that anecdote again, and in particular, like, buyer relationships are really scary and intimidating. And being
Yes.
brave enough to break the rules, which again, maybe some of that comes from just like, your heritage, and like being in a position where you kind of always have to break the rules,
Yeah.
or are being made to play tennis so that you're not breaking the rules. But
Well,
like, yeah, tell us how you're breaking the rules.
well, the funny thing was like, I did not know what to expect. I didn't even know, like honestly, I was like, first I thought the brand was going to be a D2C brand, not even a retail brand.
Yeah.
And then only because we got into an Australian distribution that I switched the idea. It's like, okay, there is actually a retail opportunity over here. And it was much bigger than the online opportunity and faster. But anyways, I had no idea of retail, and because of that, I went to the meeting thinking like I'm pitching a startup. So in my pitch, I had I did not have any competitor analysis. I did not have category data. I did not have margin. I did not have velocity data. I had none of the things that a buyer deck has. And it was like the main thing I kept was mainly the philosophy. Like, what are we building? The team is like, okay, it's like the most important thing is the team. Team is the most important thing because ultimately things always go wrong. Is your team able to handle the things if things go wrong? And that's what like I remember in the startup world is like you always tell like, how can we handle chaos? Like, okay, if a supply chain chaos happens, I know I go to this person. If it's flavor chaos happening, I'm going to this person. If it's
Yeah.
like marketing chaos, I go to this person. So it's like the team was the ultimate thing. Then I would focus on a lot of behavior data. So I had more behavior data in proportion to the traction data. So I was like, yes, we had amazing reviews, we are selling X amount, all these kind of things. But I was showing them the experiments I had done related to Whole Foods. So it's like how the consumer behaves to these product types and all that kind of stuff. And that was the ultimate way I was basically telling them a story like a human. And then I put them in the shoes of the customer too. Say, imagine the time that like you had a long day or a long week and as you're going home, what are your options? Uber Eats, you're gonna spend a lot of money. You're gonna try to cook, it's gonna take you like 30 to 40 minutes plus. You don't want microwave, you don't want to go grocery shopping, you want something quick and like this is where the pantry product fits in. So when you grab, you still have that experience of a high quality meal in 10 to 15 minutes where you get the protein, you get everything, and it's done fast. Easy. You just open the
So
pouch,
fun.
put in the water, that's it. And the funny part was that I was so about the whole story and this experience, and like I forgot to even explain the product features, the user side points. It was until at the end of the meeting, it's like, okay, so how does the product work and what could you tell us about the product?
This is awesome.
But I think it was very passionate the way I was explaining, and I was like, but I was more focused as like, hey, one, we can work on this together. It's an opportunity. This is how I see the opportunity. I have tested experiments that showed this is how it can work, but I also have failed experiments. This is what the data is. We don't know which flavor is going to be successful, but it is basically how we work together that we can figure this out. It has an opportunity to it. And I think the most important thing, they were betting on the team, and like, we do not know what's going to happen, how much we're going to sell, and all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to try some creative ways, look at data in every angle to figure out what I need to do to solve this problem. That's. I think I was just giving them confidence
Yeah.
and the team.
No, this is a whole new angle to pitching for CPG that like
I
I
did
bet
not know. The funny, like even the funny part is like when I got, then I started getting into the industry network and I saw the first pitch deck. It's like, wow, I was way off. I didn't include anything.
but they bought it. Okay, so you've kind of like developed some conviction around an opportunity. You spend some time experimenting. You bring the product to market. What has been for you the biggest belief that you had that was sort of validated by like actually getting to the market? And then you can answer these in either order. Also, what's something that like really surprised you, or like a thing that you never saw coming that is maybe like something that you learned that you weren't expecting at all?
Whew, very important questions and good questions.
I'll be
uh,
here all week.
Well, the conviction was like mainly is it was to one was to understand the concept, right? It's like people were looking for something easy. And I saw it in the data, I saw it in the customer interviews, I saw it in any format I was trying. There was always a repeat. It was, yes, I need something easy. I need something tasty, and I need something with protein. Protein was like at that moment but I use it as a feature, not as the whole concept. It's like the concept was convenience ultimately. Like I was trying to what was true for me was that I was winning back time for people. That was true for me. So it's like and it was true for everyone. What people always want is like I do not want to spend too much time and I want to clean less. And it's like okay, I had the product that actually solves that. So we try like that's where we were given the more confidence on this. Like we go to market, and when we went to the market, people were buying. Like we did Facebook ads, we did all these things. We hadn't gone on Amazon yet,
Yeah.
and we saw great data coming into play. It's like people were willing to spend decent amounts of money to buy these products. Then the experiment we were trying to figure out whether do people want they care more about protein or they care about more gluten free. And that was experiments we did, and we saw that it was true. People care about protein. Uh, what surprised me was that how complex the supply chain for a product like this was, and how many stakeholders are involved to just get this on a shelf or into people's hands. That was like I did not know how complex this industry is even to prepare a recipe and all that kind of stuff. It's like it surprised me the need that there is a huge need for it, but you are also trying to innovate in a world where like it's like there are too many people involved,
Yeah.
and how do you make everyone feel like connected?
My anecdote, I want to hear how you put it together. My anecdote about this is like cheese and crackers could not be more different from a supply chain perspective. Like they go together at the same time. You eat them at the same time. But cheese and crackers are like here and
Yes.
there on a so and you've like, your bar is really high. You've got vegetables, you've got pasta, you've got the sauces. How does it come together? Like give us a little bit don't tell us so much that you have to kill us, but, but give us like the behind the curtain of how you put it together.
Well, it is so complicated. It's just the complex part is like, there's like in the supply chain world, one is to build a sauce and to build a sauce that is in the dry format. And in the dry format, you have to find like how it reacts with the cooking of the pasta. So is it going to create a creaminess or not? And that is like finding that formulation and the combination was one of the most the toughest parts. And then procuring it. How do you procure these ingredients? Some of them they were like this formulation, they're complex and simple at the same time. So our main buckets are you have a good portion of the seasoning blend. We have multiple seasoning blend where we're using high quality ingredients always, clean ingredients always, and trying to produce a product that is like going to create that flavor profile that a customer can find in a restaurant. And that was the goal. And it was like keep on testing, working with the R&D chefs and working with the actual chefs, try to come together and figure out how can you actually get that. That was one complexity. Then was the complexity, where is this coming from? Sometimes the chef wanted the flavor, like the tomato coming from Italy. It's like, how can we get a tomato coming from Italy to be put in over here?
He's like, if it's not San Marzano, I'm out.
Exactly, right? Exactly, exactly. No, I went to Italy once just to like talk to some of the people to see if there can be a relationship of
Is
like
it
getting
really
some.
different? Wait, that's a real question actually. This is you can settle a bet that I've long had an opinion on, but I need a second opinion. San Marzano tomatoes, like hot or not,
So
does it really matter?
it's delicious. No, tomatoes play a huge role.
No, but San Marzanos in particular, like I'll have some, I've selling cookware for so long. I have a bunch of friends who are chefs, and some of them will be like, I am only buying this brand of canned tomatoes. Like, it can't. And then I have other chefs who are like, don't listen to that guy. Like, it doesn't really matter. But I have to imagine if you're concentrating it into a bag and then asking that bag to stay delicious and flavorful over some period of shelf life, it only gets harder.
No, it is harder, of course, but it's the same thing. Like it's just like wine, right? Like some years are going to be great, some years are not going to be great. And how was the soil at that time? How was the sun at that time? So it does matter the quality, which whose
Yeah.
product you're buying.
Is there like a tomato terroir? Like that? This one's from the southwest
That would be
corner of
actually
the
amazing,
world.
right? If there's one for every other product out there, of course, I believe so.
There must be. There must be.
Yeah.
Um, what was the hardest piece of the supply chain to kind of like lock in, or like the last piece that fell into place before you could be like, okay, we're ready for showtime here?
It was the hardest piece was to basically making sure the seasoning, the veggies, and the pasta when they're blended together can actually happen in a scalable format. Because the issue is that when you're in a small artisanal way, you can be semi-automatic and you can manage all that kind of stuff. However, for scaling, it is purely difficult. And that means you're always going to be stuck at this number and you won't be able to get to, and then there's no business model. And it was to figure out how to get this product, each of these recipes, that can they be transitioned if we went from like 500 cases a day to 1,000 cases to 10,000 cases, all that kind of stuff. So ultimately, that's like figuring that part out was the most important for me because I was not thinking, did we solve today's problem? Or it's like, will we be able to handle tomorrow's?
Yeah. Well, and I want to, okay, that kind of flows into supply and demand, which I want to talk about too. Like, you have such an unfair advantage in this, in that, like, you know how this works at a macro scale. And I feel like so many founders, they'll get into it because they're great at product, or they're great at storytelling, and the operations of the business are really where it gets hard. Like predicting supply, outpacing demand, like all of the things that really will have an outsized impact on whether or not like you're leaving demand out and like unfulfilled, or you've got too much stuff aging on the shelf.
Yes.
How did you bring, like your past experience to bear on kind of like getting around that corner, or at least seeing around that corner? And how do you manage it? How do you manage it now? I mean, your product's on fire, so I have to guess that it's like hard to keep up with.
It is getting super difficult, and as you know, supply chain is all about chaos management, or I think it's crisis management. It's like that's where it's operation and crisis management.
It was going to be commerce's crisis, but that felt like a little too on the nose.
Exactly. You know, ultimately, the way I saw things is I saw things as like there's a rhythm, and I was just always trying to figure out what is the rhythm of the flow on the supply side in the beginning, and what's the rhythm of the flow on the demand side of thing. And it was trying to figure out when you have to find the velocities of like the POs, you have to find the velocities of the distributor pickups, and you have to see of like how each retailer plays. So I was going so granular on the data profiles, on like trying to find how does the most people, you know, like in most people when they look at data, there's stock or flow data, right? Most people focus on the stock. Few people focus. It's hard for humans to actually think on the flow side of things. It's very difficult. Like this is just not that. So my goal was always from my past learnings was to create proxy data as much as possible of this flow in the build up side of things, and projecting that flow into like how the demand is going to behave, because with marketing you can control a bit of the demand, but ultimately one of if you send too much water to the river, it's going to overflow. If you send too little, it's going to drop. So that's like the ultimate is to like how do you control that thing. In the beginning it didn't go always according to plan, right? However, rather than getting chaotic around it, we were trying to understand where the problems are and trying to fix the system. It was just like building a system around it, how we can be better at doing that. And all of this was done in Excel. It's nothing like we created complicated.
I was gonna say, yeah. Where are you making the work happen here?
It's like I have so many tabs of these files that we were able to like manage the flow. I was like, as soon as the Whole Foods data came into play, right? So we went into Whole Foods regional. That's how we started at 65 stores. And I was going straight to the store level data. And for the first month, I became obsessed about it. And I wanted to see each store, each area, how it's going to behave on demand side of it, things. And when I threw interventions like demos or promotions or whatever that actually influence things, it's like, okay, how does it impact my demand? How does it impact my inventory levels? And then it was like, go back, fix it, add more layers to it, and all that kind of stuff. So it was basically a granular learning, but I was so obsessed with Whole Foods data that I was just like, they give, I think of most retailers, they give the best data. It's so beautiful. And I was like going, okay, if the price drops, what happens to the velocity? If price increase, what happens to the velocity? Like I was just like going through that, and then I started building my models around that. And
Why?
then
Oh, keep going. Sorry, keep going.
then that was earlier stage, so it was easy to that. Then it became complex because that's one DC. Then you're bringing more DCs into play. Then you have like, okay, how does each DC behave with its own? Like I didn't always look at national velocity. I was looking DC level velocities.
So interesting. How does the weather impact this? Like if it's a really cold winter, does everyone just like want to stay
I
inside?
started looking into that. Now with all these AIs, I'm gonna get so like I just don't want to get into the rabbit hole that I forget to sell the pasta.
That's fair. Yeah.
But it's beautiful. But now, just because of our scalability, now that we went from a very small, we were producing maybe maximum 1,000 cases a day kind of a production place, and then now we are transitioned to that can manage somewhere between 10,000 to 30,000 cases a day. So we build that system.
You built that. Is that with a co-man or is it
Yeah, yeah,
internal?
yeah.
Yeah.
No. I don't want to get into it's too complex of a structure, I would say. It required too many resources and brain power to handle these things.
No, and you're gonna be busy building your sampling app too. Like,
Exactly, right?
how should I configure my
But
model?
also my first hire, that was because I built the whole company. Sorry, we built the whole company in a very lean manner. Everyone is was a freelancer, even post launch, post national launch. It was at maybe when store counts went around 700 plus is when I got first full-time support, and it was on the supply chain. It's like I needed someone who can manage supply chain for me, who can manage all these things so that it's not going to get chaotic. The issue was that I had to, when everyone looks at my Excel files, they get overwhelmed. So I have to really, really,
Speaking
even
of,
I get overwhelmed sometimes.
I mean, this is how I became a software founder. Like the spreadsheets that we were using were like, someone would put one wrong character in a formula,
Yes.
the whole thing would fall apart. They'd save it, or they'd save a thing as values or whatever. Like, I guess we have to put this in the cloud.
No,
Like
no,
people.
you should imagine when I was working at the IMF, we were doing a whole countries, and if you cannot mess up.
Do countries have ERPs? Like, what's the?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, it's a rebrand. It's ERP at the
But at
scale of
every
GDP.
exactly, right? It's like what's happening to the CPI?
Oh
Inflation.
my gosh, that's like the worst good idea I've had in a really long time. I need to stop thinking about that so I don't try to do it.
No, it's like now luckily what we're doing is like it's like we're getting to the point where we're building dashboards, we're taking use of AI, we're taking use of like all these tools out there to really simplify the process as much as possible. Otherwise, it's if you want to scale, you have to think operationally scaling.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm just entirely distracted by the question of what's the ERP for a country right now.
Each country is different too, so that's
I, I
what
thought
language is
computing was next week was hard.
it?
Okay, totally different tack, but it will keep us in the giggles. Your packaging is so beautiful.
Yes. Thank
And I feel like it's a strategic advantage for you guys. I mean, it's a novel format and also just like absolutely gorgeous design. Different kind of theories on this. Like some folks say, don't overinvest in packaging too early. Just get something out there and like see what hits, and then you have some data and you can iterate on it. And then I've seen the storyline go otherwise, where it's like, we're going to completely resolve this, and it's going to be like beautiful and tight, and the whole package literally is kind of going to be like launched from day one. Where do you feel like your process landed on that spectrum from like early scrappy iteration to like polish? Because you landed in the polish, but did you start there?
I was early on design. To me, design was super important. I feel like people like when we realized we had a packaging for D2C site where there was actually no it was how to get I always was looking at, and I was working with my art director she's in Europe, and she like I wanted creative people, very creative people who really try design forward like me. And it's like, people have very limited attention span. We are like, because of everything in life. So we need to focus on a thing that is going to get their attention, whether it is for a D2C product or whether it was a retail product. So first we were like, attention span was, okay, D2C was one thing. We were focusing on colors, we were focusing on the fonts and everything. Then the second one was also like, it's like, okay, now we transition to retail. It's like from the get-go, it was super important for us because I believe that when you are in retail, you have only 1.5 to 3 seconds to attract someone. So maybe 5 seconds. And the packaging is your first basically attraction point. You need to wow someone, and that's where we like first had like, okay, if they're walking, I was always imagining people They're walking down the aisle. I'll close my eyes, walking down the aisle, the food aisle, and they're looking through this bazaar of products over there. Is my product going to create
Yeah.
a positive emotion and make them stop? That's why the lazy name became so bold too. Is like they will stop because they'll see the word lazy. They will stop because it works also with color. So it's like it's just how
Yeah.
the consumers behave in the while they shop. And it was funny, like I even noticed that right when I was watching people in shopping, and every time they will pick up lazy, you can see the how people stop and pick it up and
Yeah.
smile, laugh at the name, and then they will point, "Oh, you are this," to their partner.
Yeah. I love that.
So it was like
I mean,
always, so it was like creating. So for me, packaging design was super important from the get-go. And we worked a lot on it in the beginning to make sure that we get there.
I think one of the things that's so delightful about it is that it is a little subversive, but in like a light and humorous way. And then you're right, like there's almost a call to action or like a call to conversation around it,
Yes.
where like someone's got the subversion piece of it is that like people kind of being lazy is sort of attractive in a weird way. You're like, I wish I could be lazy. Like I wish I could take a
Absolutely.
but no one wants to be accused of being lazy. Like if you spontaneously want to be lazy, you're like, I'm going to be lazy today. But if someone tells you that you're
Yeah.
being lazy, you feel really
Yeah.
different about it. How did you
Yes.
come
No,
up?
the thing is like I also believed in that, right? I believe that like
Yeah,
people, everyone wants to be lazy. Everyone does. I believed in that so much. It's like what we all look forward to in the weekend is to have a lazy weekend.
yeah,
Like lazy Sundays, like it's like, but why are we so quiet about it? So I didn't feel that it's like fair to be quiet about it. And then now people are becoming more like when people became like taking more initiative on their health, their wellness, their mental health, whatever it is, they're like it's like okay, you need to prioritize yourself, and it was a way of me to create a positive feeling in the words to give that people the permission, like it's like you can give yourself permission to slow down. It's important.
right. Yeah, in the kind of entrepreneurial gamut of it all, like the hardest working entrepreneurs I know are like, I'm working so hard, I'm ready to retire. I'm working so hard, I'm ready to retire. No one's doing it, but it's so aspirational that, like, yeah, I
Yes.
don't know that retirement food is there's a market for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Exactly
think
right.
there's a real balance between the aspiration to be lazy or to have permission at least to to slow down for a moment.
It's the art of slowing down. Like that's where the brand ethos has been. Is one is that we're always in a rush. We're always moving, and you enjoy and you see things more clearly when things slow down and you take care of yourself. When you have a slow weekend, people feel refreshed. I feel super refreshed,
Yeah,
and
especially
I
if you have a really nice dinner,
attack the next week. Exactly. It's a positive emotion, and we all want this positive emotion that we're always looking for. So I wanted to build a brand around that philosophy.
What
Basically,
what is your philosophy? Yeah, well, you probably are really fun to be friends with. Slow down, I'm gonna cook you dinner.
exactly. Let's take it easy. Let's slow walk.
Yeah. Do you have can you share anything about what's next for the business or the brand? Like how are you gonna bring this ethos to more parts of our lives or our kitchens?
So the idea of lazy food is to provide healthy conveniences across categories and also across multiple flavors. I don't want to get too deep into it. Yes, we're working in the back on many potential opportunities that might come in the near future. But the idea is that I want to give people time from dinner to lunch and give their time back and building innovation based on that.
Anything else about the brand or the backstory that you feel like would be really interesting or surprising to share with the audience?
Interesting and surprising. I think I have been on LinkedIn very open about the backstories, about what lazy is. It is, even though it's like the name gives an eyebrow, but ultimately it's a story that where I have progressed a lot in slowness, and clarity and solving problems. And I start becoming so in love with this words that I like the life I've lived has been in its own form very interesting, we'll say. Very interesting and very exciting. A lot of stories, a lot of adventures, and all that kind of stuff. And I always had the best moments of those of that story, wherever it was, whether I was traveling around the world. I traveled around the world, by the way. And when I was working in hectic places, when I was working at the IMF and everything, I would always remind myself to take things slower and still get things done in a very productive way. So it's not that like the only way to move forward in life is to like overwork, hard work. I thought it was just, you just have to work smart. And there's a difference between hard work and there's a difference between smart work. And as long as you can do things smartly, you can really enjoy moments to yourself at the same time. So that whatever you do in life, whatever work you're doing, everything, you're actually having fun with it. So that you never want to retire.
I love that. I mean, fun is, it has to be at the core of it. Otherwise, there's no energy renewal around it. You know,
Yes.
you just get drained, and it will. It will. So if you can find a way to like tap into the fun piece of it,
Yes.
you can keep going.
And there is sometimes lucky you in whatever job you are in and everything. Sometimes you meet people who see the same philosophy, and sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
And it's hard to find people with the same mindset and all that. You can get judged around it and all that kind of stuff. So I just didn't see as much I didn't enjoy the way people were working and living. So I was like, I'm going to create my version of it, and I started building towards that. Because yeah, and I'm hoping that this is going to get bigger and bigger, proving that it can happen. You can work smartly, hard. You can work smart and you work hard and still enjoy the beauty of life, because life should be tasted, right?
It's absolutely. I can't think of a better note to end on. It's been so fun to chat with you. Last question: where can we? I know Whole Foods, but where can customers find your amazing products? And how can they be helpful to you? It might just be going and buying a bag of pasta, but if there's anything else we can do to follow, support the mission, tell us now.
Well, first, we are available now in Fresh Market. We are available in Fresh Time. We're expanding other retailers. Some names I don't want to drop right now. And for me, I think what I would love, of course, I want people to I want people to enjoy the product as much as I get to enjoy, and the people that have built this product enjoy it, and give us all the honest feedback, because the goal is to basically get the best product to everyone's hands. What else people want in how lazy brand can introduce an innovation that will support their lives, basically. How we can give them back time that they deserve.
But thank you so much. It's been a real treat to get to know you, and I hope we can keep talking.
Absolutely. Thank you, Samantha.
Thank you.
For chatting.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Commerce is Chaos. If you're listening, I have a feeling you know just how much good leaving a 5-star review can do for a team. Drop us a review on Apple Podcasts and subscribe to Commerce is Chaos wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to our Substack, also called Commerce is Chaos, for more good stuff and actionable tools to build your business.